The morning sun filtered through the lace curtains of Dorothy's modest kitchen as she sat with her morning tea, completely unaware that her world was about to crumble. At 68, Dorothy had spent her entire life building a reputation of trust and integrity in her small town. She had raised her daughter Helen single-handedly after her husband passed away 20 years ago, sacrificing her own dreams to ensure Helen had everything she needed. The phone rang, piercing the peaceful morning silence. Dorothy answered with her usual cheerful voice. "Hello, Dorothy speaking. Mrs. Patterson, says Michael from First National Bank. I'm calling regarding your recent mortgage application for $300,000. We need to discuss some discrepancies in your application." Dorothy's hand trembled as she nearly dropped her teacup. "I'm sorry, but there must be some mistake. I haven't applied for any mortgage." The silence on the other end was deafening. Michael's voice became more serious. "Ma'am, we have your signature on file along with all your personal information. The loan was approved 3 weeks ago for a property on Maple Street." Dorothy felt the room spinning around her. Her daughter Helen lived on Maple Street. With shaking fingers, she managed to ask, "Could you please give me the address?" 1247 Maple Street, ma'am. "The house was purchased under your name." Dorothy's heart sank. That was Helen's new address, the beautiful colonial house she had been so proud of when she invited Dorothy over for dinner last month. Helen had claimed she got a great deal through her real estate connections, never mentioning anything about loans or mortgages. After hanging up, Dorothy sat in stunned silence for nearly an hour. How could Helen do this to her? How could her own daughter, the child she had sacrificed everything for, betray her trust so completely? The woman who had worked double shifts at the textile factory, who had sold her mother's jewelry to pay for Helen's college education, who had given up her own chance at remarriage to focus on raising her daughter properly. Dorothy's mind raced back to all the times Helen had asked innocent questions about her social security number, her banking information, her personal documents. She remembered Helen offering to help organize her important papers last year, claiming it was for Dorothy's own good as she got older. She had trusted her daughter completely, never imagining that Helen was gathering information to steal her identity. The weight of the betrayal was crushing. Dorothy had always prided herself on being a good judge of character, but she had been completely blind to her own daughter's deception. The $300,000 debt now hanging over her head represented more money than she had ever seen in her lifetime. Her modest pension and Social Security could never cover such an enormous sum. If you're finding this story as shocking as I did when I first heard it, make sure to join our community by hitting that subscribe button. Stories like these need to be shared to protect others from similar betrayals. Dorothy spent the next few days in a haze of disbelief and heartbreak. She couldn't eat, couldn't sleep, and couldn't bring herself to confront Helen immediately. The betrayal cut deeper than any physical wound. This wasn't just about money. This was about trust, about the sacred bond between mother and child, about everything Dorothy had believed about her relationship with her daughter. Finally, Dorothy made a decision that would change everything. She called her old friend Margaret, whose son was a lawyer, and asked for help. Margaret was horrified when she heard the story and immediately arranged for Dorothy to meet with attorney Robert Mitchell, a man known for his integrity and his fierce protection of elderly clients. Attorney Mitchell was a distinguished man in his 50s with graying temples and kind eyes that immediately put Dorothy at ease. After reviewing all the documents and evidence, he looked at Dorothy with a mixture of anger and sympathy. Double quotes, "Mrs. Patterson, what your daughter has done is called identity theft and fraud. This is a serious federal crime that could result in significant jail time. The fact that she's your daughter doesn't make it any less illegal." Dorothy's hands shook as she absorbed this information. But she's my daughter. I never wanted to hurt her. I just want this debt removed from my name. Asterisk, I understand your feelings, Mrs. Patterson, but you need to understand the gravity of this situation. If we don't act decisively, you could lose your home, your life savings, and your entire financial security. Your daughter has put your very survival at risk. Asterisk, Attorney Mitchell explained that they had several options, but the most effective would be to confront Helen directly with legal representation present. Sometimes when people realize the serious legal consequences of their actions, they're more willing to cooperate and make things right. Asterisk. Dorothy learned that Helen had been planning this for months. The house wasn't just a simple purchase. Helen had used Dorothy's excellent credit score and clean financial history to secure a loan she never could have qualified for on her own. Helen's own credit was apparently destroyed from years of poor financial decisions and overspending. Asterisk, the investigation revealed that Helen had been living far beyond her means for years. She had multiple credit cards maxed out, unpaid loans, and a lifestyle that far exceeded her income as a real estate agent. The beautiful house, the expensive car, the designer clothes, it was all built on a foundation of debt and deception. Asterisk. Attorney Mitchell discovered that Helen had forged Dorothy's signature on multiple documents, had opened credit accounts in Dorothy's name, and had even used Dorothy's social security number to apply for other loans that hadn't been approved yet. The $300,000 house was just the tip of the iceberg. Asterisk, your daughter didn't just betray your trust, Mrs. Patterson. She was systematically destroying your financial life to prop up her own unsustainable lifestyle. Asterisk, Dorothy felt sick to her stomach. This wasn't a moment of weakness or a desperate mistake. This was calculated, premeditated theft that had been going on for much longer than she had realized. Asterisk, for those of you who have been affected by family financial fraud, please consider subscribing to our channel. We share these important stories to help protect our community and provide resources for those who need help. Asterisk, the confrontation was planned for Helen's housewarming party, which she had already sent invitations for. The irony wasn't lost on Dorothy. Helen was planning to celebrate her new home with the very people she had unknowingly victimized. Helen had invited all her friends, neighbors, and even Dorothy herself to celebrate her successful real estate investment. Attorney Mitchell advised Dorothy that confronting Helen publicly would be the most effective approach. When someone commits fraud, they're counting on their victim's shame and silence to protect them. By confronting her publicly, we remove her ability to manipulate the situation or make excuses privately. Asterisk, the day of the party arrived, and Dorothy felt like she was walking to her own execution. She had barely slept in weeks, had lost 15 pounds from stress, and felt like a shadow of her former self. But Attorney Mitchell's presence beside her gave her strength. Asterisk. They arrived at the party to find Helen's friends and neighbors admiring the beautiful colonial house with its manicured lawn and expensive landscaping. Helen was playing the perfect hostess, wearing a dress that probably cost more than Dorothy's monthly grocery budget. Asterisk, Helen's face lit up when she saw Dorothy arrive. Mom, I'm so glad you could make it. Isn't the house beautiful? I told you, I got an amazing deal on it. K-star Dorothy's heart broke a little more at her daughter's continued deception. Even in this moment, Helen seemed to have no shame, no remorse, no acknowledgement of what she had done. Asterisk, Attorney Mitchell stepped forward and introduced himself professionally. Ms. Patterson, I'm Attorney Robert Mitchell, and I represent your mother in a matter of identity theft and fraud. Asterisk, the color drained from Helen's face instantly. The cheerful party atmosphere around them began to shift as people sensed the tension and started paying attention to the conversation. Asterisk, Mom, what's this about? Do you have a lawyer with you? Dorothy found her voice, though it trembled with emotion. Helen, I know about the mortgage. I know you used my name, my credit, my identity to buy this house. I know about the $300,000 debt you've put on my shoulders. Helen's eyes darted around. At her guests clearly panicked about the public nature of this confrontation. Mom, we should talk about this privately. This isn't the time or place. No, Helen, Dorothy said, finding strength she didn't know she still possessed. You chose this time and place when you decided to celebrate a house you bought with stolen money. You chose this when you decided to destroy your mother's financial life to prop up your own lies. Attorney Mitchell handed Helen a formal letter. Ms. Patterson, this is a cease and desist order. You have 48 hours to begin the process of removing your mother's name from all fraudulent accounts and loans, including this mortgage. If you fail to comply, we will be filing criminal charges for identity theft, fraud, and elder abuse. The party guests were now openly staring, and several of Helen's friends were whispering among themselves. Helen's perfect facade was crumbling before everyone's eyes. Elder abuse. Helen's voice was shrill with panic. Mom, I would never abuse you. I'm your daughter. Financially exploiting an elderly person, even if they're your relative, is considered elder abuse under federal law, Attorney Mitchell explained calmly. The penalties include significant fines and prison time. Dorothy watched her daughter's face cycle through emotions: denial, anger, panic, and finally, what looked like genuine fear. For the first time, Helen seemed to understand the serious consequences of her actions. If this story is resonating with you or someone you know, please subscribe to our channel and share this video. Awareness is the first step in protecting our elderly community from financial exploitation. Helen's friends began making excuses to leave the party early. The celebration she had planned to show off her success was turning into a public humiliation. Dorothy almost felt sorry for her daughter, but then she remembered the sleepless nights, the stress, the betrayal, and the financial ruin Helen had brought into her life. Helen, Dorothy said, her voice stronger now. I raised you to be honest, to be trustworthy, to treat people with respect. I worked 2 jobs to put you through college. I gave up my own dreams to make sure you had every opportunity. And this is how you repay me? By stealing my identity and destroying my financial security. Helen started to cry. But Dorothy wasn't sure if the tears were from genuine remorse or from fear of the legal consequences. Mom, I was desperate. My business was failing. I had so many debts. I thought I could handle the payments myself and you'd never have to know. But I do know, Helen. And now I'm responsible for a debt that's larger than anything I could ever pay in my lifetime. Do you understand what you've done to me? Do you understand that I could lose my home because of your selfish decisions? Attorney Mitchell intervened professionally. Ms. Patterson, your mother is prepared to pursue all legal remedies available to her. However, if you're willing to cooperate fully in reversing this fraud, we may be able to resolve this matter without criminal prosecution. Helen looked around at the few remaining party guests. At the house she had thought was her dream home, at the life she had built on lies and stolen money. What do I have to do? First, you need to contact the mortgage company immediately and confess to the fraud. Second, you need to sign the house back over to the bank and accept full responsibility for any financial losses. Third, you need to provide us with a complete accounting of all accounts, loans, and debts you've incurred using your mother's identity. Dorothy watched her daughter's face as the reality of the situation fully sank in. Helen would lose the house, her credit would be destroyed even further, and she would likely have to declare bankruptcy. But for Dorothy, this was about more than financial restitution. This was about justice and protecting other elderly people from similar betrayals. The aftermath of that confrontation changed both their lives forever. Helen did cooperate with the attorneys and managed to avoid criminal prosecution. But the damage to their relationship was irreparable. Dorothy realized that the daughter she thought she knew had never really existed. Helen had been manipulating and deceiving her for years. Helen lost the house, had to declare bankruptcy, and eventually moved to another state to start over. Dorothy, meanwhile, had to rebuild her sense of trust and security. The legal process took months, but eventually, her name was cleared of the fraudulent debt. Dorothy's story became a cautionary tale in her community. She began speaking at senior centers and community groups, sharing her experience to help people recognize the signs of financial exploitation by family members. She learned that her situation was unfortunately common adult children. Exploiting elderly parents was one of the fastest-growing crimes in the country. The most painful part of Dorothy's journey wasn't the financial stress or the legal complications. It was the loss of her daughter. Helen's betrayal had severed a bond that Dorothy had thought was unbreakable. The daughter she had sacrificed everything for had been willing to destroy her mother's life to maintain her own facade of success. Dorothy's story serves as a powerful reminder that financial abuse can come from the people we trust most. It's a cautionary tale about the importance of protecting personal information, even from family members, and about the devastating consequences that can result from identity theft and fraud. In the end, Dorothy survived her daughter's betrayal and found strength she never knew she possessed. She learned to trust again, to build new relationships, and to find purpose in protecting others from similar experiences. Her story continues to inspire and educate people about the realities of family financial fraud and the importance of seeking help when faced with such betrayals.